In the heart of the African forest, not every story is told through sound. Some stories are hidden in a faint footprint on the sand, in a branch that has just snapped, or in the sudden moment when birdsong disappears from the canopy. For most of us, these are only tiny details, easy to overlook. But for the Hadzabe people, every sign is a message from nature. And sometimes, that message means prey is very close. What is truly remarkable is that they did not learn these skills from books or schools. They simply grew up with the forest, and over time, they learned to read nature the way we read lines on a page. That ability has helped the Hadzabe survive for tens of thousands of years with almost no need to change their way of life. When the sun begins to rise, the Hadzabe camp is already coming to life. The men quietly check their bows, adjust each handmade arrow, and prepare to step into another day of hunting in the wild. No one knows what kind of animal they will encounter today, because the Hadzabe do not enter the forest with one fixed target in mind. Every step depends on the signs nature leaves behind. Along the way, they stop many times to listen and observe. A patch of soil freshly turned over, a clump of grass that has just moved, a faint track on the sand, or even a scent carried lightly by the wind can make the entire group change direction at once. A hunt rarely begins with the prey in sight. It begins with signs that are almost invisible. On the dry ground, they find the remaining tracks of a deer that passed through not long ago. No one rushes after it. The Hadzabe patiently study the distance between each footprint, the direction of the wind, and even the leaves that have just been brushed aside. They know that prey is always more alert than it appears. One sound made at the wrong moment can erase hours of tracking in just a few seconds. But the forest does not only hide prey. Sometimes, it also reveals creatures that humans are better off avoiding. The watchful eyes of a wildcat glinting behind the grass, the fresh tracks of a leopard still marked clearly on the ground, or the distant call of a hyena are all signals that force the group to reconsider the situation. The Hadzabe do not try to prove they are stronger than nature. They understand that avoiding a dangerous confrontation can sometimes matter more than winning a meal. In this world, pride does not keep anyone alive. Only clear judgment can do that. After many hours of following the trail, the opportunity finally appears. The deer has moved into the circle of the Hadzabe hunters. When the distance is close enough, an arrow leaves the bowstring and flies straight toward the prey. Startled, the deer tries to run, but its strength quickly begins to fade. After only a short distance, it can no longer stay on its feet. The hunters immediately move closer, check the animal, and confirm that the hunt has succeeded. After hours of patience, observation, and silent coordination, the Hadzabe have finally caught the deer, bringing back a valuable source of food for the entire community. When the hunters return after a long day, the whole camp quickly becomes more lively. The adults prepare firewood and flames, while a few people begin cleaning the animal and dividing the meat into portions to roast and cook that same day. No one keeps the best part for themselves, because for the Hadzabe, the success of a hunt does not belong to one person. It belongs to the entire community. As the smell of roasted meat spreads through the camp, everyone gathers together to eat and share the result of a long day in the forest. For them, the meal is not only a source of life, but also a moment of connection, where patience, skill, and community spirit are passed down through generations. Perhaps what makes the Hadzabe truly special is not that they are better hunters than anyone else, but that they understand humans have never stood above nature. Every hunt begins with observation, continues with patience, and ends with gratitude. They do not try to conquer the forest, because they know that is impossible. Instead, they learn to listen, adapt, and take only what they need. After tens of thousands of years, that way of thinking may be the true secret that has allowed the Hadzabe to survive in a world that has changed almost completely.
As dawn gradually spread across the savanna and the open woodland, the cool air marked the beginning of a new day. A troop of monkeys left their sleeping place and moved through different areas in search of ripe fruit, tender leaves, and other natural food sources. They foraged while constantly watching their surroundings, quickly changing direction as they traveled deeper into the woodland. At the nearby camp, the tribal hunters also woke early and prepared their bows, spears, knives, and ropes for the day's hunt. After carefully checking all of their equipment, the group quietly left the camp and headed into the savanna and the forest. The tribal hunters crossed narrow paths through the open woodland, moving carefully while examining animal tracks on the ground and watching the trees ahead. Before long, they spotted monkeys moving continuously across the woodland, with some stopping briefly to observe their surroundings before quickly moving on. The hunters silently watched the troop's direction before continuing deeper into the forest. Suddenly, they noticed a porcupine confronting a leopard, cautiously trying to avoid danger. The hunters kept a safe distance and quietly observed the positions of both animals. The tribal hunters quietly followed the troop of monkeys as they moved through the open woodland. One adult monkey eventually came down to the ground. Taking advantage of the opportunity, one hunter quickly drew his bow and fired an arrow at the target. Even after being struck, the monkey rushed toward the nearest tree and quickly climbed onto a branch in an attempt to escape. However, its wound prevented it from climbing any farther, leaving it stranded on a low branch. The hunters immediately approached and climbed the tree to bring the monkey back down. After securing the animal, they tied up the catch and continued searching for the porcupine in the forest. After successfully hunting the monkey, the tribal hunters returned to the area where they had previously seen the porcupine. Upon arriving, they were surprised to find the porcupine confronting a lion on an open patch of ground near a bush. The porcupine immediately raised all of its sharp quills and repeatedly turned its back toward the predator whenever the lion approached. The lion made several attempts to move closer, but remained cautious of the dangerous quills and could not attack. The hunters stayed hidden, quietly observing and waiting. Eventually, the lion abandoned its attempt and walked away. As soon as the porcupine began moving again, the hunters quickly approached, used their bows to bring it down, and successfully completed the hunt. After completing both hunts, the tribal hunters prepared to return to the camp. They securely tied up their game and began the journey home. The members took turns carrying the animals while following familiar trails through the open woodland and across clearings. Along the way, everyone continued watching their surroundings to ensure a safe return and to avoid any predators that might suddenly appear. After traveling for some time, the tribe's huts gradually came into view. The group quickly carried all of their game back to the camp to begin the next tasks. Back at the camp, the tribal hunters began preparing a meal from the animals they had caught. The monkey and porcupine meat was carefully cleaned, cut into portions, and shared among the group for cooking. The meat was placed on wooden skewers and roasted over the fire. Everyone took turns adding firewood, tending the flames, and turning the meat evenly over the glowing coals. Smoke slowly rose into the air, carrying the rich aroma throughout the camp. Once the food was fully cooked, the tribe gathered together to enjoy a hot meal after a long day of hunting in the forest. The forest and the savanna gradually returned to their peaceful state after a day filled with activity. After finishing their meal, the members of the tribe rested at the camp, bringing all of the day's work to an end. Life in the vast wilderness slowly became quiet once again, closing another day of hunting, hard work, and daily life of the tribe. After successfully testing small box traps at Liam's farm, we quickly realized an undeniable reality. The wild boar density in this area was far higher than initially expected.
Ich habe keinen Strich gesehen.
The small traps were effective for catching one animal at a time, but when facing an entire herd, they were almost powerless. The limitation in how many animals each trap could handle forced us to think of a new, more powerful and comprehensive strategy. This time, we decided to upgrade the entire trapping system. Instead of individual small boxes, a series of large corral traps were built, designed to hold multiple wild boars at once. The idea was to minimize time and effort while increasing herd control efficiency. However, this raised a difficult question. Would the larger size of the traps make wild boars more cautious, or would their crowding make them careless and easier to lure in? Only real-world results could answer that. On the first night of deployment, the traps set far from Liam's farm were the first to trigger alerts. When we reviewed the camera footage, we could hardly believe our eyes. A scene we had never witnessed before. An entire herd packed tightly inside the enclosure, moving chaotically in every direction. It was completely different from what we had seen with the small box traps. The density and chaos were overwhelming, yet also revealed the incredible strength and energy of the boars.
Get in there. Yep. Hey. Don't shut it through. Hurry.
Without hesitation, the team immediately moved to the remote trap locations, preparing for a challenging night. When we arrived, the situation became clear. With such large numbers, every action had to be fast and precise.
Go.
We split into groups and began securing the boars, section by section, inside the enclosure. Smooth coordination and decisive action allowed us to capture the entire herd, far exceeding initial expectations. 2 large traps near Liam's farm were triggered in just one night, clearly proving the effectiveness of the new strategy. Continuous alerts from the cameras meant no one could rest. The sound of boars' constant movement and chaotic noise echoed throughout the area. The entire team had to mobilize maximum effort, taking turns handling each trap and controlling each animal to ensure none were missed. It was an almost sleepless night, but every minute was worth it. Each boar removed from the enclosure meant one less threat to the entire farm. The work continued for hours, restraining and moving large numbers of wild boars from both traps, but the results made all the effort worthwhile. The final traps had been set within the farm area the day before, and now, as we returned, a series of alarm signals from traps near Liam's house kept going off. Unexpected, but perfectly timed. Being closer to the farm made access to the boars much easier than the distant traps. The team quickly gained control of the situation, removing all wild boars from each trap, eliminating the need for long and exhausting trips. The final task was simply to deal with the remaining targets, ensuring the entire operation was completed smoothly and efficiently. When the last traps were cleared, Liam's farm gradually returned to a peaceful state after days of tension. From the small box traps we started with the current corral trap system, everything proved a simple but important truth. The right strategy can make a huge difference. The number of wild boars controlled in this operation far exceeded all previous results, significantly reducing the threat to livestock and the entire farm. However, as we looked into the distance, new tracks were still visible on the ground, reminding us that the battle was not over. Wild boars could return at any time, but now, with upgraded experience and strategy, we were ready to face them and ensure the farm remained protected.
As the first rays of sunlight spread across the savanna, the Hadzabe camp slowly comes to life. For hunter-gatherer communities, every morning begins with the same question: what will they bring back to feed the entire community today? No one knows where the next animal will appear. In their world, food is not found on supermarket shelves or stored away in warehouses. It is hidden deep within the wilderness, where only those with patience, experience, and a deep understanding of nature can find it. Every hunting trip is a combination of knowledge, instinct, and survival skills that have been passed down for thousands of years. Before leaving camp, the hunters carefully inspect every piece of their equipment. Their bows are warmed over the fire to restore the proper curve, while each arrow is sharpened and fitted with bird feathers to keep it flying straight. The arrowheads are then coated with poison extracted from native plants, making them far more effective against larger animals. Once everything is ready, the group heads into the forest. Their hunting dogs eagerly move alongside them, constantly sniffing the ground and surrounding vegetation. The forest grows quieter with every step because in this environment, even the smallest sound can send potential prey disappearing into the wilderness. The first opportunity appears sooner than expected. A civet is calmly feeding among the rocks. Instead of rushing forward, the hunters quietly spread out, gradually closing the distance while cutting off the animal's natural escape routes. Once everyone is in position, they move in together, forcing the civet toward a rocky crevice. Although it is not a large animal, smaller game such as civets, birds, rabbits, and porcupines plays an important role in every hunting trip. These animals provide food early in the day without requiring the group to spend too much time or energy. To the Hadzabe, no animal is too small if it helps feed the community. Just a few minutes later, the first meal of the day has been secured. After a short break, the hunters continue deeper into the forest. This time, fresh tracks in the soil suggest that a much larger animal is nearby. High in the trees, a baboon quickly notices the approaching hunters and immediately tries to escape. The chase begins. The hunter with the clearest shot slowly raises his bow and releases an arrow. It strikes the target, although the baboon manages to keep running for a short distance. The poison on the arrowhead gradually begins to take effect. Within minutes, the hunt is over, providing enough meat to feed the group for several days. On the journey back, they gather wild fruits and edible roots to add to the community's food supply. For the Hadzabe, hunting and gathering have always gone hand in hand, creating a sustainable way of life. When game becomes scarce, wild plants help sustain the community. When the hunt is successful, meat provides essential nutrients that the forest alone cannot replace. This balance between hunting and gathering has allowed the Hadzabe to adapt to their natural environment for tens of thousands of years. Back at camp, a fire is quickly lit, marking the successful end of another day of hunting. The animals are cleaned cooked over a wood fire and divided equally among every member of the community. Not only the hunters, but also the children, the elders, and those who remained behind all receive their share. Among the Hadzabe, the success of a hunt belongs to everyone, not just those who carry the bows. Every shared meal strengthens the bonds of the community and preserves a tradition that has endured for countless generations. Even in an age of satellites, artificial intelligence, and advanced technology, there are still communities whose way of life has remained almost unchanged for thousands of years. They do not rely on machines to find food, but on observation, memory, experience, and an extraordinary ability to read the natural world. Every footprint in the soil, every bird call, and every shift in the wind can become valuable information that determines the outcome of the day's hunt. For the Hadzabe, every expedition is about far more than bringing home food. It also preserves a tradition of sharing, strengthens the bonds that hold the community together, and passes priceless survival knowledge from one generation to the next, just as it has for tens of thousands of years.
Imagine stepping outside one morning and barely recognizing your own farm. Carefully tended crop rows have been torn apart, fences have been smashed down, and the ground is covered with tracks and muddy trenches stretching across the field. In a single night, months of hard work have practically vanished. The culprit isn't a storm or broken machinery, but feral hogs spreading across rural America. With their incredible destructive power, rapid reproduction, and remarkable survival instincts, they have become one of the biggest threats facing Texas farmers. What makes feral hogs so dangerous isn't just their strength. They're highly intelligent, quick learners, and often change their travel routes when they sense danger. Common methods like chasing them away, hunting individual animals, or putting up temporary fencing usually work only for a short time. When a sounder is disturbed, it can split into smaller groups and return at a different time. That's why many Texas farmers have realized they can't rely on luck alone. They need a strategy that's patient, precise, and capable of capturing an entire group at once. As a result, large-scale corral trapping systems have become increasingly common. Before setting a trap, farmers carefully study signs on the ground, uprooted soil, trails along fence lines, muddy areas near ponds, and places where hogs regularly return after dark. Once a consistent travel route is identified, they build a large circular steel trap strong enough for an entire sounder to enter without feeling threatened. Corn, ripe fruit, and fermented feed are spread inside to attract the animals night after night. For the first few days, the gate is left completely open. The hogs come and go freely, feeding without encountering any danger. Night after night, they grow more comfortable. The younger hogs enter first, followed by the larger adults, until eventually the entire group is walking inside. When the right moment arrives, the farmer simply watches through an infrared camera on a smartphone. As soon as the last hog steps fully into the trap, one tap on the screen is all it takes. The steel gate slams shut, locking the entire group inside. That moment is usually fast but incredibly intense. The trapped hogs panic, charging into the steel panels and creating loud crashes that echo through the night. Some try digging underneath the fence, while others circle frantically searching for an escape route. But the trap is designed to withstand powerful impacts. After several minutes of chaos, things begin to settle down. With one well-timed activation, a farmer can capture dozens of feral hogs at once, dramatically reducing the damage they can cause in the nights ahead. However, the battle is far from over. Feral hogs reproduce at an astonishing rate, adapt quickly, and can survive in a wide range of environments. If even a few animals escape control efforts, new groups can form again in a relatively short time. Meanwhile, the debate continues. Some argue that large-scale control programs should be expanded. Others raise concerns about costs, management practices, and environmental impacts. But for farmers watching their land being destroyed night after night, there is little time left to wait for distant decisions. Across the vast landscapes of Texas, ranchers and farmers continue their work quietly and relentlessly. They check cameras, track fresh footprints, repair damaged fences, and prepare new traps before darkness falls. For them, this isn't just about protecting crops. It's about protecting their livelihood, their families, and land that has been cared for generations. Feral hogs have proven themselves to be powerful, intelligent, and extremely difficult to control. But people are learning to fight back with technology, experience, and persistence. And in Texas, that battle is certain to continue for many years to come.
watch it from the top view.
There's a reality becoming harder to ignore. Wild boars are no longer confined to remote forests or isolated woodland edges. They are moving closer to human life, entering places once considered safe, controlled, and secure. They no longer limit themselves to destroying crops in open fields. Instead, they have begun pushing directly into residential and working areas. Soil is torn apart, gates are knocked down, furniture is overturned, equipment is damaged, and entire properties can descend into chaos within a matter of minutes. Once wild boars become accustomed to entering these areas, the problem is no longer an isolated incident, but a clear sign that existing control measures are gradually losing their effectiveness. The time for action had arrived, and those responsible for protecting the area were forced to make decisive choices with little room for error. The most common mistake in wild boar management is not a lack of equipment, but poor timing and imprecise execution. A single mistake, placing a trap in the wrong location, triggering it too early, or allowing one animal to escape, is enough for the entire herd to remember the encounter. From that point forward, the situation becomes even more complicated as the boars expand their range and move deeper into areas where people live and work. In response, a large-scale steel trap system was carefully assembled and deployed. Bait was distributed around the site, and every component was thoroughly inspected before the operation began. At the same time, a network of cameras was installed, allowing decisions to be based on real-time information rather than guesswork.
All we're gonna do is put a little fresh.
The cameras were positioned along key access routes and movement corridors, creating a continuous surveillance network across the entire operational area. The objective was not simply to increase the number of traps, but to minimize risk to people while ensuring the entire control effort could be carried out safely. Every decision was delayed until the data confirmed that the entire herd had entered the control zone. Once the animals had fully gained confidence in the bait, the remote activation system was triggered. Every escape route was sealed instantly, turning the area into a completely enclosed space. The herd had fallen into the trap. There was no opportunity to scatter or escape, only frantic movement within a confined area. The threat was contained at the point of intrusion, clearly demonstrating the difference between a carefully planned system and traditional manual methods. Rather than relying on a single trap location, the system was deployed across multiple strategic sites. Established travel routes, feeding areas, and key access points near the farm were all equipped with carefully positioned traps. This arrangement prevented the herd from spreading out, reduced pressure on individual traps, and improved overall control effectiveness. It represented a long-term strategy designed for environments where people and wildlife share the same landscape. In many cases, each trap was capable of capturing a remarkably large number of wild boars. Once wild boars cross the boundary into areas where people live, speed is no longer the most important factor. Precision is. A single mistake in planning or deployment can turn a manageable situation into a serious threat for the entire community. Choosing the right moment, following strict operational procedures, and using technology effectively can reduce risk before they escalate into consequences. This is not merely a wildlife management issue. It is a matter of protecting human safety. This was never just a confrontation between people and wild boars. It represented the fragile boundary between the order humans create and the raw power of nature itself. When a herd approaches residential areas, the challenge no longer belongs to one individual or a single farm. It becomes a shared concern for an entire community. In those moments, every decision must be made with absolute clarity and careful attention to detail. There is no room for mistakes in this ongoing struggle, and every choice helps shape the way humans coexist with the natural world.
Folks, that there's an attitude about pigs that they're disgusting, they're just dirty creatures, and they kind of just want them dead. And I've talked to people that go helicopter hunting, and I go, well, what do you do with all the pigs? And they're like, you leave them there. And I'm like, what? Yeah. I'm like, that doesn't seem...
In the United States, wild boars are among the most dangerous invasive species. They are intelligent, highly adaptable, and reproduce rapidly. Domestic pigs brought by Spanish explorers in the 16th century escaped into the wild and evolved into feral populations, spreading across the southern states, destroying crops, tearing up soil, and severely disrupting ecosystems. Over centuries, they have become a powerful wild animal, now appearing even near residential areas, posing both economic and environmental threats. In the early 20th century, European wild boars were imported into the United States for hunting purposes. After escaping captivity, they interbred with feral domestic pigs, creating an extremely dangerous hybrid. Faster, more aggressive, more resilient, and more destructive than their ancestors. Their reproductive capacity is alarming. A single sow can produce 2 litters per year, with up to 12 piglets per litter, allowing the population to double within months if left uncontrolled. This makes traditional control methods largely ineffective, as new populations are constantly being created before humans can respond. The USDA estimates that there are currently around 6.9 million wild boars in the United States, with Texas alone accounting for about 2.6 million, spread across 253 out of 254 counties. They can run at 30 miles per hour, jump 40-inch fences, and have tusks over 6 inches long with skin thicker than 1 inch, making light weapons ineffective. The damage is very real, from military airfields forcing pilots to abort takeoffs, to golf courses, residential areas, and underground fiber optic cables worth millions being destroyed. One farmer lost 24 acres of corn in a single night, around $40,000. Texas alone suffers over $500 million in annual losses, and nationwide damage reaches around $3 billion, not including livestock, bird eggs, and widespread ecological disruption. Traditional efforts such as trapping, hunting, or simply pushing pigs into neighboring counties have largely failed. When they return, they are smarter, more cautious, and better at avoiding any signs of previous control groups. Each reproductive cycle increases the population further, and every removed group is quickly replaced by new herds migrating from nearby regions. Helicopter culling and ground teams only provide temporary relief, while the population continues to expand. Farmers have begun adopting a different strategy. Intelligent corral traps combined with fermented corn to encourage the boars to enter confidently. Once the animals feed, relax, and return repeatedly over several nights, the trap is triggered when the entire group is inside. No individuals survive, preventing the herd from learning how to avoid it in the future. This technique exploits their behavior and intelligence, taking advantage of how they observe their environment and pass learned behavior to the next generation. Today, farming communities in Texas combine resources, using smart trapping systems and helicopter surveillance, while also protecting allied wolf populations, natural predators in the ecosystem. These wolves target piglets, directly reducing the population's future growth. In Atascosa County, this strategy has reduced corn damage from 600 acres per year to nearly zero,
All right, guys, we
proving
gotta
the
go get
effectiveness of combining ecological balance with technology. Traditional methods only provide temporary impact, catch a few individuals, and the remaining herd teaches the young to avoid traps. The population disperses and establishes new groups in previously cleared areas. Helicopter-based removal only shifts the problem elsewhere. In contrast, the allied wolves affect the next generation directly, targeting the reproductive stage where future populations are determined, enabling more natural and effective control than any human-led campaign. camera systems and research data show that these wolves learn to hunt piglets in coordinated groups, using precise timing and teamwork to exploit moments when mother sows are exhausted from night foraging. This behavior is learned and passed down through generations, creating a natural pressure that human programs have not been able to replicate. Data from Texas and Georgia shows significant population declines in areas with continuous wolf activity, without the need for extensive trapping or artificial hunting. The story of wild boars in Texas demonstrates that nature has powerful self-regulating mechanisms, which humans sometimes unintentionally disrupt. If you found this content useful, please leave a comment with your thoughts and share it with others interested in agriculture and wildlife. What would you do if you stepped onto the African savanna one day and realized you were no longer the only predator? For the Hadzabe people of northern Tanzania, every hunting trip is more than a search for food. It is a quiet confrontation with some of Africa's most dangerous predators. Across this vast landscape, where countless species share the same territory, a single footprint pressed into the sand can determine whether the entire group moves forward or immediately changes course. In this world, survival is not about conquering nature. It is about knowing when to advance and when to step back to As the sun climbs higher, intense heat spreads across the dry savanna. Each Hadzabe hunter carries a handmade bow crafted from strong hardwood, along with slender arrows tipped with metal points coated in poison extracted from local plants, powerful enough to bring down prey after a successful hit. Suddenly, the group stops. In front of them are large paw prints with rounded pads and no visible claw marks. Without saying much, everyone recognizes the unmistakable tracks of a leopard that passed through not long ago. The hunters begin following the trail with remarkable calm. Every step is carefully planned, always keeping the wind in their favor so their scent will not reach the animal. They examine freshly scraped tree trunks, recently disturbed grass, and new claw marks left on the bark to judge the leopard's distance. After nearly an hour of tracking, they finally spot the animal resting on the branch of a tree, its sharp eyes constantly scanning the surroundings. No one rushes to attack. One small mistake could instantly turn the hunters into the hunted. When they are finally close enough, one hunter slowly raises his bow and releases the first arrow. it narrowly misses, causing the leopard to leap to another branch in an attempt to escape. Without wasting the opportunity, the hunter quickly fires a second shot. This time, the arrow strikes its target. The leopard stumbles, loses its balance, and falls into the brush below. Once the animal is no longer able to fight back, the Hadzabe carefully approach and locate it. After making sure the area is safe, they quickly carry their catch away before the scent of blood attracts other predators to... On the journey back, the Hadzabe do not head straight to camp. As they pass through an open woodland, the experienced hunters quickly locate a wild beehive. One person carefully gathers dry leaves and fallen branches to create smoke, while the others prepare to collect the honey. As the smoke calms the bees, they open the hollow tree and remove the golden honeycombs, enjoying some of the fresh honey right there in the forest. The rest is carefully wrapped and carried back to camp. For the Hadzabe, honey is more than a rich source of energy. It is a well-earned reward after long hours of hunting beneath the scorching African sun. After returning from a long day, they gather around the fire to prepare the meal, sharing everything equally among every member of the community. No one keeps the best portion for themselves, and no one is left behind. As everyone sits together around the flames, the elders recount stories from past hunts, teaching the younger generation how to recognize the tracks of hyenas, lions, and leopards, and how to respond if they unexpectedly encounter them. These lessons are never written in books, yet they've been passed down from one generation to the next for tens of thousands of years, forming the foundation that has allowed the Hadzabe to survive in one of the world's most challenging environments. Perhaps the most remarkable thing about the Hadzabe is not their hunting skill, but their understanding of their place in nature. They know when to follow a trail, when to avoid an animal's territory, and when to accept that the wilderness does not belong to any single species. While modern society often tries to control nature, the Hadzabe have chosen a different path, living alongside it through observation, respect, and adaptation. Perhaps that is the true secret behind a way of life that has endured for tens of thousands of years.